Well, you'll see
But-
her again with a bit of dementia in Bambi. I don't know what it is about me
Oh,
that they've decided dementia is a good one to have me have.
what's up, y'all? So check it out. 2025 seems to be one of, if not the most successful years that the childhood horror subgenre has seen in a very long time. As I speak currently, 2025 has already given us three Popeye the Sailor Man horror movies, a very successful new Mickey Mouse horror movie, and a Peter Pan horror movie. And coming out in the sooner or later parts of the years, we're still getting The Death of Snow White, The Ugly Stepsister, a Cinderella horror movie, and we're getting Bambi the Reckoning and Pinocchio Unstrung. Well, I figure to celebrate what is currently being celebrated within the subgenre, I would have somebody on this channel who knows a large amount about the childhood horror subgenre, and it has a great time doing it. Please welcome the lovely Nicola Wright. How are you doing,
Hi.
Nicola? I
I'm
already
very
asked you
well.
earlier. Gotcha. I already asked you earlier. I just thought I'd ask again for the people watching at home. And again, I'd like to thank you so much for joining me in this interview and in the middle of this very horrendous lighting setup. It's not usually like this. Oh
I
my,
think it looks great.
it's so much more vibrant, and it's like
I like it.
the one day I don't want the sun to shine through the window. It's like, man. But either which way, I'm so happy that you're on here.
Likewise. Nice. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So I wanted to start you off with asking this question. Um, I'm sure that many people in the world of film and cinema have heard about the unfortunate sudden passing of Val Kilmer about a week or two ago. And it surprised a lot of people in the world, me included, as somebody whose father showed me a lot of his movies growing up. But I wanted to ask you this: one of your earlier films that you did in your career was a movie that he actually starred in called Top Secret.
It was.
And yes, and I wanted to know, like, did you get a chance to personally interact with Kilmer at all?
I
And
definitely did.
you
Yes, it
did.
was his first film, first big film in the UK, shooting at Pinewood, and he was he didn't really know that many people. We were an all British cast apart from him, and I guess because we were sort of similar, we were young. He was There was myself and a girl called Michelle who were the two pizza house girls, and we had about a week to 10 days on it, I think. I can't remember now, but it was enough time that we got to know him quite well. We went to a party with him, me, Michelle, Val, and an actor called Hart Bochner who was in Supergirl at the time. Four of us went to a party together in the evening, and he just used to sit next to me in the makeup chair and chat away about nonsense as we do. But I think it was the first time he'd really come across two quite sarcastic young girls who slightly teased him. He wasn't used to that. And so it took him a while, and then he kind of really liked it. So yeah, he was great. I really liked him a lot, and a fantastic actor. Yeah, amazing.
It's it has to be such a surreal feeling knowing that it's like, oh wow, this person ended up being like this big like megastar like Batman, and I got to have a good time with him during this shooting, and I got to have a good time with them, having a conversation with me and my girlfriends and all of that, have a good time with him, and he's living his best life. I'm glad I got to do that. Like, I'm sure that's a very surreal feeling to have as an actor, and I'm
I
sure you've
guess
gone
so.
through it
I
many
mean, I
times.
think, it's like anything. We do have moments where you work with somebody who either is famous at the time when you work with them, or who ends up becoming mega famous, which he definitely did. But at the time, he was just a regular young actor who, as I said, he was playing the lead, but he was really, really nice. So I've got nothing but good to say about him.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear. Was the scene as fun to be a part of as it looked?
Oh, it was. It was. I mean, because it was a dance scene, you know, on in minutes on screen, it's not that much, but it took a lot of choreography. So, which is why we were on the shoot for probably, as I said, much longer than normal. I can't remember now, but it was at least a week to 10 days. And things like the cheese stretching, that hadn't actually been planned. The Zucker brothers and Jim Abrahams, the directors, are quite spontaneous sometimes. They'll think of something really funny and just add it in. And so they came up with this idea that we should all get tangled up in the cheese. But of course, props hadn't done that. So we had a couple of days just hanging around while they made stretchy cheese.
Wow.
And oh yeah, Omar Sharif was teaching Michelle how to play poker. I just watched. So yeah, we've got some funny little stories that you think, wow, that was quite an occasion, considering we're all very young.
I could honestly tell just by watching that scene, because it looked like that whole musical segment just looked like a whole party to be a part of.
It did, yeah.
And I will say it had to have it sounded like a waiting game of just like, oh, so you're throwing this in there. Oh, okay, let me get used to that next.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure you were more acquainted and used to it because you have a huge theater background. Yeah,
I mean, I was only, God, I'd probably only been out of college or drama school about, I can't remember, maybe 3 years when I did that film. I was still quite new to the business, but I'd done a lot of dancing. So where I trained, we had to dance as well. And a couple of early jobs, although I went straight into theatre as an actor, I'd also done quite a few dance jobs as well. So I was used to mixing it up with dance and acting.
Gotcha. I mean, shoot, that's not a lot of actors can say that though. Like I got fresh out of drama school, and then right after that, I got to be in a movie with Val Kilmer. Like not a lot of people can. Not a lot of people
That's
can say
true.
that.
That's true. Pretty good.
Definitely good. But the next thing I wanted to ask you was, you were, so interestingly enough, before I watched or found out about the Twisted Childhood universe, you were actually in another movie that I had seen as I was letting my autoplay just happen. You were the mother in The Curse of Humpty Dumpty, which I had seen before, and it's funny too because I recognized you when I went to watch Blood and Honey Part 2, and in my head I was thinking to myself, it is interesting to see this actress without dementia. That is odd. Like this.
Well, you'll see her again with a bit of dementia in Bambi. I don't know what it is about me that they've decided dementia is a good one to have me have, but it's the second I've done 2.
Oh, we'll definitely get back to that. But I wanted to ask you, when you play roles like that, because you were playing the role of a mother with teenage daughters, and she was trying to overpower dementia. Mm-hmm. When you prepare for a role like that, like, is it depressing? Is it like taxing on your body or your mental health? And if it is, then how do you get yourself to be in a better mood after as an actress?
So, no, I think the preparation for a role like that, I mean, unfortunately, I'm at an age where, although my parents aren't alive, I've got a lot of friends' parents who are alive with dementia. So not even for the film, I'm very much aware of how dementia can progress, how it starts, how it progresses. And I spent a lot of time with my neighbor who had dementia as well. So I kind of know it quite well. So I didn't have to go away and do new research. I was pretty, as I said, just through normal life, unfortunately, very aware of what the disease and how it takes over. And so I just used elements of that in Humpty. Humpty, she's only got early onset, so she's younger. She's a younger character than I play in Bambi. In Bambi, I've got the dementia is worse, whereas in Humpty, she has moments where she's really young to have it, as they say, early onset dementia. And also she's a very different character. So it's like, is this the dementia that's making her forget, or is I'm not giving any spoilers away much about Humpty, but she's a much more difficult character. She's kind of got another side to her, possibly.
I have seen the movie, y'all. I know exactly what she's talking about. The correlation is wild. I'll just say that the backstory is wild, especially for a Humpty Dumpty horror movie.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and so I think as far as on set and mental health and all that, on these movies you don't have time to get too indulgent about yourself. You're talking about, for Humpty, obviously much shorter than Bambi, because tighter budget, but I think we had 6 days to shoot it.
Oh wow, okay.
Really short. So you just got it, and we did it back to back with another film called Spiders in the Attic. So we were away for 10 days altogether, and we did 2 movies back to back in the same location. So you really have not got time to start going away and saying, I just need a moment to collect myself. There's no time for that.
I see. Well, so there's just no time to like be able to be like, wow, this is the part I'm playing. You just kind of have to go with it and go with that 6 day. Yeah.
Do the job, learn the lines, do the job.
Yeah. Well, kudos to you, because not everybody could say that, because that is a heavy subject matter to play or to act in, I imagine. So yeah,
well, it was, but I enjoyed the challenge of it, and as I said, it wasn't as if I had to prep something that I wasn't already fully aware of. If it was a different disease that maybe I wasn't so aware of how it affects people, I would have had to do more homework prior to it. But unfortunately, I am very aware of it.
Because of the people in your lives, and especially your neighbor. That makes sense. Well, I'm glad that everybody seems to have a great time on Jagged Edge Productions sets that I've seen so far. Even when it came down to like the more expensive stuff, like later on down the line, it looks like everybody has a ball. Hell, I actually saw that Peter Pan horror movie, and as disturbing as it was, the main actress has said that they were having a ball on set. So like, it's just always, it's great to work in that type of environment as an actress. Yeah. I know everybody gets that.
I think because they're still, although the horror, the childhood ones have got a bigger budget, it's still a small independent film. It's still a small budget by other film standards, and so there's a very much a sort of family feel about the set. A lot of us have worked together before. We've worked with that DOP, obviously with Scott and Reese, many times. Some of the actors we may or may not know, but certainly the crew, a lot of them are quite familiar. So you step in and you feel comfortable straight away. You're not like the new girl at school. Even if you've got a small part, everyone's very welcoming, and just it's a lovely atmosphere.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Like, I know like either Scott or Reese always has appeared in the credits of these Jagged Edge movies, and even when it comes down to the newcomers, I'm pretty sure Louis Santer, the person that plays Tigger from Blood and Honey Part 2, I believe he's currently dating one of the main characters in not only Blood and Honey Part 1, but also a woman who's played on a number of their other films, even before the Twisted Childhood things. So it seems like even after Blood and Honey Part 1 and 2 became like mega cult classics or mega like viral movies, y'all are just continuing to work in that like tightened like community that you guys have built up. And there's something sweet about that, honestly. Just as an artist, there's something sweet about just working with people who you already value and cherish
Yeah.
as a family.
I think years ago when I first met Scott, I mean, obviously things have changed because the budgets have got bigger, but he wanted to have almost like a rep company of actors like you would have in theatre. And certainly, I think he was inspired by American Horror Story of like having the same actors in the films but playing different parts. So if he really liked you and your work, then he would give you other roles and you know, really stretch you and give you some challenging roles, which is great. It's not something you always get in mainstream, you know. Say for example, if Humpty had had a great big budget, then it would have gone to a named, you know, as a lead character, it would have gone to a named person probably. So you know, especially during COVID when we shot loads, we were all, you know, just churning them out but having a good time.
Yeah, because y'all were making like 100 like a year, right?
Well, I don't know about that, but he made a lot.
50 a year. Yeah.
He definitely made a lot, yeah.
See, okay, so I was gonna save this question a little bit for later, but it's like you teased the question too much, so now I gotta pull it out early. So
go for it.
I'll say what, because I'm sure it's still very limited. There's only 2 trailers out. What are you able to tell us about Bambi the Reckoning? And also, I know the part that you do play in Bambi the Reckoning, you're named as somebody completely different, and you were a part of a cameo in Peter Pan. So not only are you able to tell us about Bambi the Reckoning, but is your ongoing plan within the rest of the Twisted Childhood universe to do the American Horror Story kind of thing where you come back as different
Well,
characters?
I think probably I will have run my course with the Twisted Childhood. So in Peter Pan, that cameo is still Daphne Robin. So actually, Peter Pan, the events take place the day before Winnie 2. If you listen out for the little teasers. So for example, Kelly's character, I think she's called Mia, mentions in Peter Pan that she's going to the caravan that night. Winnie 2, that's exactly where she is and where she meets her end. Then I, as Daphne Robin, my day job is a reporter. So my little cameo in Peter Pan is the day before reporting. It's only tiny and only people who are really fans would notice, but in the credits I'm credited as Daphne Robin. It doesn't just say random reporter. It is Daphne from Winnie reporting.
That's so interesting, because when I first watched that movie, I was like, oh, hey, it's Nicola Wright. I guess that Scott and Reese wanted to give her another cameo, but I had no idea that it was
linked.
The same character from Blood and Honey.
Yeah, it was never, it was just one of those things. Scott's always looking for little nuggets to link the worlds together because they are all crossing over. But here's the other thing. Bambi, I am somebody different. So in my head, I've decided, you're the first person who's asked me about it as to how come I'm in 2. In
Winnie, details. No.
Daphne is younger than Mary as a character, quite a bit younger. Mary is older than me, and Daphne is probably a bit younger than me because Daphne's actually got a 6-year-old child, hasn't she? The little girl, which wouldn't be me probably nowadays. So I've got a good breadth of years between the two characters because I'm aged up in Bambi. So in my head, Mary is she's a relative of Daphne's. There's a family resemblance. She could be an auntie, she could be a cousin, but they're related, but I am clearly a different character.
I see.
But that's just my backstory. That's not something Scott's got in there. I've just decided if anybody asks how the hell does it work that you're somebody completely different, I've decided that yes, I am different, but I am a family member.
Honestly, that sounds like something that Scott, Reese, or Dan would be 100% willing.
Yeah,
it
would be. It would
canon.
be. They would. They know I'm going to say that. So it's
yeah, that would be amazing too. But again, I'm sure everything is limited. But what are you able to tell us about the
Bambi.
parts you play or the movie as a whole, or both?
Yeah, so the big difference with Bambi will be that it's VFX. So Bambi is not, all the others have been, obviously Winnie were actors with amazing prosthetics. Pinocchio is the incredible puppet that has been made. And Peter Pan is all human, obviously, because there are no animal creatures in Peter Pan. So with Bambi, it's the only one of the ones made so far that is a VFX deer. So we haven't even seen it yet. We just acted to a green blob that was on a stick. And it's a very, Dan directed this one, so it'll have its own feel. And it's, there's a central mum, Roxanne, who has a little boy. And I am the mother to her husband, and I've got two other sons as well. So there's a family with me being the grandma, 2 grandchildren, 3 adult sons, and a rampaging deer. But there is a reason. There is a good, solid story as to why Bambi is how he is, which obviously I can't give any more away. But the central characters are a family, who live out in sort of a rural wooded area, all part of the same wooded area that's got 100-acre wood, and where it's not 100-acre wood as such. If you had kind of like a map, I suppose, like Lord of the Rings or something, the places are all nearby.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. It's always so.
In Peter Pan, Wendy actually has to go to 100-acre wood to talk to the dad of Hook. Who was it? Hook? No, Tink.
It was Timmy.
Tink, yeah, Timmy. So Timmy's dad lives in 100-acre wood. If you listened out.
Yes.
Yeah. So as I said, the areas are next to each other.
It's so interesting to see the way that these are just slowly starting to come together piece by piece into merging into one. Like, even as these movies release over time throughout different parts that take place in different times, you're just like, okay, like the filmmakers let you know that, like, okay, enjoy the movie, keep an eye out, again, because they're all connected.
Yeah, exactly. And then obviously we'll be having the Poohniverse at the end of the year. We'll be shooting that.
Awesome. And I just always, again, want to give you so much credit as an actress, and all of those other actresses credit, because I could not take it seriously if Dan or the director said, all right, y'all, run away from that green screen. Run away.
Well, there's lots of laughs that go on. I'm not, there are. I think the only thing that grounds us usually, especially on a horror, is the majority of them are shot at night, because it's dark, and often in the winter, because we've got longer shooting hours, obviously, because it gets dark here in the UK by about 4 or 5 o'clock. So if you're shooting in January, you've got from 5 o'clock until 5 o'clock, probably the next morning, or 6 dawn. So we are often shooting until we go to bed at 6 a.m. So we're freezing cold and it's dark. So yes, we might be laughing, but we also want to get the job done and not be out in that freezing cold for any longer than is possible.
At this point, we all know, even people outside of the horror community know, that both of the Blood and Honey movies are iconic. Everybody in the world knows about those 2 Winnie the Pooh horror movies, and y'all are a part of those. So I wanted to ask you, with having that many eyes on you and with acting actively in those roles on sets for Twisted Childhood movies, what are not only the best moments about being a part of that franchise, the Twisted Childhood universe, but what's also the most frustrating thing to you about being a part of that franchise?
I think the best thing is seeing that for Scott and Reese, that the films took off and are getting that bigger audience that I feel they deserve. They've worked, Scott in particular, because he's been doing it for longer, worked for so many years making these sort of lower budget horror films, and for one to suddenly go viral and change things completely, that's the best thing. Being part of, and because I was a part of the earlier ones as well before all this, just seeing success come to those 2 is the icing on the cake. And working with them, they are, Scott's one of my greatest friends, so I'm thrilled to be a part of it. The worst part, the annoying part, I think, is that due to the fact that they are still low budget, they haven't had the cinema release that similar films. So for example, Terrifier started, the first Terrifier would have been a similar budget, and now with Terrifier 4, is it 3 we're on? I can't remember. It's 3, 4, whatever, is cinemas making millions, like really taken off. And I just feel that Peter Pan, because obviously Winnie 1 was a surprise, Winnie 2 has played limited runs. I do believe with Bambi they're planning a proper run in the States, not just 3 days. That's what I hear. So but we don't get it in the cinema in the UK. It doesn't come to the cinema. No.
Wow,
so that's the worst thing, is that I feel the films are as good as many horror films that I've seen recently at our cinema that come out of usually America. I think, that it would be good if they could have a wider audience, especially over here. I think they're better known in the States than they are here.
No, they definitely are.
Where they play the cinemas.
Yeah, that's so bizarre, because like that's the place that you guys make the film. So I would imagine that you guys would get it better than in the US. So, but that's a very bizarre thing. I'm glad that, from what I've heard in other interviews, either Scott or Reese will send out screeners to people who are a part of the movie, so they always have the 4K quality variant of it, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, we do. We haven't got a. Have I got a screener of Winnie? I've just bought the DVD. I think we in the past we did, but to be honest, on my laptop I couldn't store loads of 4K downloads. I'd be out of space. So I just had I'll just buy the DVD.
That makes sense. I'm just glad you get to still, people in the UK get to still see them. That's the blessing.
Yeah, they definitely get to see it, because also they'll see it. They can have the DVD or the Blu-ray, or they can eventually watch it on a streaming platform. so they can buy it that way. But for me, I love the cinema. I think any film is better when it's on a big screen, and when you've got, when we had the premiere of Winnie, and to be fair, I say it's never in the cinema. It did do 4 days or 3 days at the Prince Charles. Winnie did. So we did go and see it together, and to see it in an audience with people laughing and screaming and just generally have it, because Winnie's that type of film. It's quite a camp horror, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Absolutely.
Peter Pan is much darker, and so is Bambi. Neither of those have got many laughs. Winnie's a different beast. Did you laugh much in Peter Pan?
No, definitely not. And I knew that going in, because I know that what they like to do is change the tone depending on what the source material is.
Yeah.
But the reason I would just said was just because I had what I've heard was Bambi is kind of something along the lines of like it, where it's like a fun movie, but like it has a lot of dark moments and a lot of dark subject matters.
I don't remember much fun.
Don't remember much fun. That's interesting.
No,
That's interesting.
I think it's quite a drama, a dark drama-led one. There's not many laughs in Bambi.
Gotcha. And honestly, that still works, because the original, and I'm actually about to ask you this question as well. The original source material for Bambi is very simple at the end of the day, about animals playing and growing up in the woods. So I feel like any tone for that will be able to work for a Bambi horror movie.
Yeah.
Which leads me to my next question. Did you use any of the source material from Bambi to help you personally in your role?
Oh no, not personally, because obviously, not really, because there's no humans properly in the original source material, apart from the hunters that kill the mother. But there is a little, again, can't really give too much away. There's a sort of understanding between Mary and Bambi.
I can't wait till July. Okay, so Lord Zoom, please don't end, because this is your final question.
Go on.
If your favorite actor, dead or alive, contacted you, hit you up over the phone, and said they want you to be a part of a sequel for one of their movies, which movie would you want that to be?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I always loved the Alien films. So a sort of, I don't know, some old lady that's got to go and be an older, I don't know, Sigourney Weaver's got the older female box ticked, but maybe if she's got a long lost sister. I don't know. I'd like to do something like that, but yeah, I love Meryl Streep. There's so many older, brilliant actors.
Sigourney Weaver is so brilliant.
I suppose, yeah, I suppose crossing the film, I'll go with an Alien film. Why would I be in an Alien film? Let's be honest.
They could find a reason. They could absolutely find a reason.
They have to, yeah. Ridley, here I am.
Hey, here she is, Sigourney Weaver. She is calling for you. Make it happen immediately.
But what I'd also really like to do is a Tarantino film.
A Tarantino film? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if he's listening, because the dialogue in a Tarantino film is just a delight for an actor.
Yeah, like it's so free and out there.
Yeah. So that would be what I'd really like. Add that to my bucket list.
Well, Nicola, thank you so much for joining me on this interview. And I also want to say this much as extra. This woman my Instagram went through some problems and I had to make a new one. Y'all know that. My Instagram, a lot of those followers come from Miss Wright sharing my art every time I post a twisted childhood universe piece.
Ah.
She doesn't even follow me on Instagram, and she sees them every time, and she posts them, she reposts them, and it has gotten. I've gotten so many people on account of that, and
Oh,
being a artist
great.
on
I
Instagram
love that.
is a challenging thing. So I just really want to thank you for taking the time every time to share the work I put out.
My pleasure. I mean, I'm always, I appreciate anyone just getting on board what we do. We're all in this area of horror, we're all working in quite a small niche, and as I said, an independent niche, and we're all creatives. So why would you not help each other? Is my take on it. It's good to support each other.
That is a beautiful mindset to have as an artist to an artist.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah. Well,
well,
I've really enjoyed it, and you can have me back when Bambi's out, and I can talk more about it.
I would love to. I hope I see you soon.
Definitely.
Okay. And you take care. Have a great rest of your day or night. I'm not sure what time it is of the
Yeah, night's
UK at
about
this
half
point.
seven now. I'm gonna go make dinner.
Okay. Enjoy dinner, and y'all can go see Bambi the Reckoning in theaters July 25th, I believe. So
Yes.
until that time comes, take care.
You too. Bye, everyone. Bye
All right.
bye.